Phone in, I'm Matty, and it's a small but perfectly formed phone in tonight. We've got Joe and Jeff on with me. We've got a lot to get through as well. We had a fairly disastrous weekend, a 2-0 defeat at Ibrox, which, in times gone by, you probably wouldn't have thought 2-0 at Ibrox was that bad, but Rangers are pretty shit, but we were pretty shit as well. It might have been very different had Martin Boyle's goal stood, so we'll talk about that game. The I suppose the habit of conceding just before halftime killed us at Ibrox, and the habit of having a Shan second half killed us at Ibrox as well, which takes us on to Falkirk, which we'll also talk about. 2-0 up, concede before halftime, and don't turn up for the second half, and it's more dropped points. So, Joe, I'll kick off for you. Ibrox on Saturday, what a disappointment it was, wasn't it?
It was, and there's a commonality over the Rangers game, the Falkirk game, and earlier games before that. We're just losing too many goals. I gave it some thought before I came on this podcast tonight. If you think about it, we've lost two goals, 3 goals in the last few games, but all season we've been losing goals. We can't keep a clean sheet, and we need to do something about that. And I thought about this. A couple of reasons for losing so many goals. Firstly, Nectar Triantis used to mop up a hell of a lot in midfield. A lot of the mistakes in midfield are leading to goals.
Yeah.
And Jack Ardale is a fraction of the player he was last season. He was close to being one of our top players last season, if not the top. He's got shady right off. When you lose two key players of that level, it's going to hurt for sure. But we're just losing. And I actually think that Hibs need to go four at the back until we get this sorted out. And the way that we've got the players with Hanley and Rocky to the middle, and the two fullbacks are obvious too, Ohura and our other friend, Obita. The back four lines itself, make it solid at the back. I know a lot of people said, oh, we got 17 games unbeaten last season with three at the back. That was last season. We don't have Triantis, and we've got a very poor Jack Ardale this season. Make it solid at the back. You go back through history, when Jose Mourinho took over that Chelsea team that did great in the early noughties, and etc., they were so solid at the back. Fast forward back to the late 80s, when Graham Souness took over Rangers, he took the spine of the English defence, the English goalkeeper, the centre half, etc., build it solid at the back, stop losing goals. I know a lot of people said, oh, we'll three at the back, we did great last season, 17 games unbeaten. That was last season. We're in the now. And we need to stop the rot. And especially if we're going to Parkhead, the toughest fixture of the season always.
Yeah.
The champions away. What better time than to do that? So that's my thought for the day. My second thought is, you go back, when I started watching Hibs in the 60s, we had stacks of great forwards that were internationals. Joe Baker played for England. Colin Steen, Willie Hamilton, Pat Quinn, Peter Cormack, Jim Scott, I could go on and on. All internationalists, but we've won buzz all in the 60s because we were crap at the back. Sorry, I'll stop just now.
No, I mean, Jeff, it's definitely an issue, isn't it? The rate that we're conceding goals is problematic. So Joe's suggesting four at the back. Is there an argument to be made that we need a bit of stability at the back?
Well, going to four at the back may not give us stability. That's another change, So it's about how many changes does he make till we hit the perfect or hit the sweet spot? I don't know. But if you look at, Ardale's been disappointing, but as I said last week, form is temporary, class is permanent. He's proved he's a good player. He's not suddenly just become a bad player permanently. He will hopefully get better again. But you think about it, we've lost Jack Ardale from last season temporarily till he gets his form back.
Yeah.
We lost Lewis Miller, who was immense at the end of the season. So that's two of the components that kept, we didn't keep a lot of clean sheets, but we didn't look like shipping lots of goals like we do at the moment. I think the biggest loss has been, surprisingly, Lewis Miller. Somebody always champion, but I didn't think we'd miss him quite so much on that right-hand side. One for the going forward, but also that stability he gives you at the back post. But he was prone to the odd mistake as well, And as for Triantis, we've got a Triantis shaped hole in the middle of the midfield. But the goals we've lost recently, have they all come through the midfield? A lot of them have just been crosses. That's nothing to do
Fairly
with.
basic, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they feed it out to a corner on Saturday where Raskin, who unfortunately was their best player, and he came back in, got the run on Chaiwa, and then the second one was another cross where McGrath lost his man, and the guy had a shot that deflected. Anyway, he came off Rocky and landed at Majowski. So 2 pretty shitty goals. And then the game last night, 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago, yeah.
Time flies when you're retired. It's all, every day's a Sunday. Anyway, so so if we look at just the 2 recent games, the goals were perhaps not down to a Triantis type player being missing, but maybe the second half performances were more down to that, where we just never seemed. I mean, it was scary against Falkirk. I mean, that was as bad a second half. We never looked like losing a goal apart from the corner, but in terms of just doing anything, we were so massive. But anyway, back to so we lost Miller, lost Iredale. I do think that the Scottish Hall of Famer, 63, Grant Hanley, I think he will make a difference in this league, a massive difference. Now, whether it's beside Rocky in a 3, one of them goes to the right and we play Iredale or Beta, or whether we go to a 2, the problem position is right back.
Yeah.
I don't think O'Hara's a right back. He's okay in the right of a 3, but I don't think he's a right back. So you're left with Chris Cadden, Mulligan, or maybe Megwa playing there, unless there's somebody else I've forgotten.
Megwa's the only natural right back of those.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if Gray trusts him and goes for it, then fair enough. But so I think we're stuck with a 3, and it's just getting that midfield balance right. I thought the first half against Falkirk were pretty good, but if we're talking about the Rangers game, we'll come on to that. But against Rangers, it was second half was disappointing.
On the first half as well, since the game on Saturday, I've tried to find some positives, and the same even in the wake of the Falkirk game on Tuesday night. You try to look for a few positives to see if there's anything to cling on to. Going in at half time at Ibrox 2-0 down, it puts a really negative. Obviously, it puts a negative slant on it. I mean, 2-0 down at half time, the game's almost done at that point. Unless you can get an early goal, as we saw with Falkirk. But we'd been all right up until that point. Like, Rangers hadn't created anything, really troubled Salinger. And
had a save to make, really. That's what I recall.
But what's even more disappointing, Matty, is the second half we offered nothing. There was no sign of a comeback. We offered zilch against Rangers in the second half.
Yeah, you look at. I did something for the newsletter thing that you did.
Yeah.
I compared the 2-0 against us on Saturday against the 2-0 we won in April, and the statistics are almost identical, apart from we had 3 shots on goal back in April, and obviously the thing that counts is goals. They got 2 this time, we got 2 last time. But if Levitt's goal could have been chalked off in April, because there's definitely somebody in the keeper's eye line. I was surprised it never went to VAR. I think it was Big Miko. And then ball could quite easily have been offside. And they had, Dessers couldn't hit as I exceeded the thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo from about a yard back then. So it's goals. If we score the early goals, which we had in Saturday, early chances. The one where Bowie goes through, takes it sort of to the right of the keeper and passes it to Boyle, that should be 1-0.
Yeah.
Unlucky with the thing. And then the header at the end, in the end of the first half, before they get their second, again, that should just be going in at 1-1 instead of 2-0 down. And it just changes the whole thing. Gray's right. Every game. Every game, we've missed chances in the first half, a lot of chances in some games.
Yeah.
It's coming back to haunt us. And if you're missing chances, not living up to your XG, and your defence is starting to ship some really iffy goals, that's a really bad combination.
Well, that's the bit I was going to come on to, just as I was, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, sorry.
Because I was about to say, apart from the defensive frailties where we were losing 2 goals a game, we're not taking chances. And I think that, Kieran Bowie has gone off the boil. the last few games completely. Since he went away with the Scotland camp, he's come back and not really been quite the same player. And I think this, and just as I said last year, I thought Dylan Levitt was a guy who's going to be the player of the season. I think Klidgey, if you give him a blasted chance, could be that player this season. Him and Bowie together, I think, could be quite dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. I mean, Boyle is, no pun intended, has been very much off the boil, hasn't he? I mean, he got to go for the penalty on Tuesday night, but he also missed a big chance on Tuesday night as well. Missed some big chances on Saturday evening at Ibrox. Jeff, is it last season we saw Boyle come out of the team for a little while, got dropped and then came back a different player. I think Gray will be considering that again just now.
I think it could well do, because if Gray's got this habit of bringing 2 subs on at 60 minutes approximately. So it might be better that Boyle doesn't start, but he comes on as one of the Gray's impact subs at 60 or 65 minutes.
Yeah, what do you think, Jeff?
I'm not averse to giving Boyle a wee rest. I definitely would have played him at Ibrox because his record against Rangers is pretty good this last 3 or 4 games, and he did score, albeit it was a really soft handball. But you can't go.
That's what it is, yeah.
So he kind of, when he put that ball in, I was just thinking to myself, yeah, Boyle at Rangers scores, but he missed 2 easy chances, which and on Tuesday night he should have scored. I mean, the keeper didn't make a good save. I see what he's trying to do. He just shit effort. Absolutely. And apart from that, can you remember much else what he did apart from score the penalty?
No, not really.
No,
not really.
He had that penalty in the second half when he was offside. Well offside as it happens. Where it would have been a penalty and the guy would have been off. That's kind of unfortunate and good link-up play. But he just, you can see the line. He's got the pace to burn there. As everybody says, it's really annoying. Just watch, it's instinctive though. 1-2, go for the run, and he's off. So yeah, I'd have no problems playing Klidgey on Saturday and bringing Boyle on as a sub, or depending on the game's going, we might want to bring Campbell on or somebody just to provide us with a bit of defence. If we manage to hold it to 0-0 or winning 1-0, with 30 minutes to go, do you want to bring Boyle on? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Boyle's quite good off the bench as well, isn't he? Let me just get a couple of comments from YouTube. We'll catch up here. Me said 1 win in 9 games, conceding goals at bad points. Boyle, Rocky, we dropped. Bowie lost confidence since no minutes for Scotland. Pod said on the upside we're still unbeaten. Sandy said evening bangers, Joe and Jeff and Matty and all the live chatters. John said how's it going, bangers? Not been an ideal start, but it's still better than this time last year. Ian said, evening guys, we're losing goals, but we're also not playing well. Pod said, fucking 4 at the back. Davey said, evening guys, hope you're all well. Yes, all good here, Davey. Hope you are well too. Mikey said, deja vu. Why has he changed the shape? Hearing he's changed it to fit new players in. If he's having to change it for new players, then he's bought the wrong players. Nectar is a massive miss. Kieran said, genuinely would like to know why Hanley isn't a regular. Surely the way the team's played, he gets a run. And Ronnie said, hi bangers, looks like we're back to only being able to play one half. Okay, so a few things, let's take them almost one at a time. So Rocky Bashiri, Joe, he was outstanding at the end of last season, started this season quite well, but maybe his form has dipped as well. Is his place up for grabs?
I don't think so. He might have had a couple of shaky games. I strongly feel that if he had the vastly experienced Grant Hanley playing alongside him, you would get a better Rocky as a result, as well as the steadiness that Hanley offer. But what I find difficult, the reason I mentioned 4 at the back, is I find it difficult to see how you would play a back 3 with both those two. It might be difficult to accommodate them in a back 3, but because one of them would effectively have to play the right-hand side of that, and they're both centre halves, call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
So, tricky one.
Okay. Jeff, what do you think about Rocky so far this season? How would you sum him up?
He's been good. You think in Europe, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
He was up against him, and he nobody's beaten him for pace. He's been those one-on-ones. He's bossed them physically. He's had one or two shaky moments recently, but nothing like the Howlers when he first came here. So he set a high standard last year. Maybe he's not quite reached the massive heights of last year, but he's certainly not been our worst defender. And he's got pace, he's got the physicality, all the things you hate as a forward playing against, and sometimes his positional sense just might let him down. And Joe's right about Hanley beside him. I think you could play Rocky maybe right-hand side, Hanley beside him, and another on the left, Obita or
Iredale.
Iredale. Hopefully Iredale when he comes back, because then we can play Obita till Nicky Cannon finds some form. Play Nicky. Play
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yes.
It's just I wouldn't take Rocky out of the team. What do you think of putting Hanley in and then playing O'Hara and Iredale or Obita as left centre half? It would probably work, but I think it's harder on Rocky, who's been okay. But I know there are a lot of Rocky doubters and stroke haters out there. But he's a good player.
I think he's got plenty of credit in the bank, hasn't he? And although Gray can't pick players on past performances, needs to be what they're doing just now. But I think this is part of the problem, though, isn't it? Like, I don't think we've got anybody really in the back line that's having an absolute stinker of a time. So I think I agree with you, Jeff. Rocky's been fine. Hanley's been good when he's come in. O'Hara's played well when he's come in. Abita's done all right there, but we're still shipping goals. And so you're looking at even we've swapped the keeper out. That was Salinger in on Tuesday night, and that hasn't shored it up either. So you look further afield, Jeff. You mentioned Nicky Cadden. Joe, if Nicky Cadden's not contributing the crosses, what is he bringing to the team?
Well, that's his main asset, isn't it? Let's be honest. And his crosses are terrific. But, I mean, arguably, he was at fault for one of the goals the other night. And he's defensively is obviously not so good. I think we've got a couple of new players, though. Chegwa in midfield will tighten it up once he gets more game time under him. And the new boy that they've brought in from
Barlaser from Middlesbrough.
I couldn't remember his name. They could really tighten up that midfield. I believe. I really do. And then, of course, you've got the obvious ones are Mulligan and McGrath to be there too. So the midfield would almost pick itself if you give those two new players a run.
And Jeff Barlaser played on Tuesday night, and I think it's fair to say the first half or for most of the first half, Hibs were pretty good. What did you make of his contribution to it?
Yeah, he was steady. He kept it ticking along. I don't think he did anything outstanding, but he didn't do anything particularly bad either. He fitted in. If you didn't know it was his first, did he start at Ibrox as well?
No, he came off the bench at Ibrox.
He came off, right? Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've kind of put that game way at the back of my head. Yeah, so first start, you wouldn't have thought it was his first start. Just like he was seamless. Not perfect, but yeah, he was okay. He's got a good engine on him. He got his foot in. He's reasonably big without being a giant in midfield. Yeah, I was happy with him. Was he better than what Levitt could have done? He obviously was the Levitt replacement, I would say, rather than the Mulligan replacement. So I don't know, but I was happy with him. Yeah, happy.
And Joe, we saw him paired with Chaiwa as well, so that Barlaser Chaiwa combination in the middle against Falkirk. And again, it looked like a bit of a different dynamic from what we'd seen at the weekend at Ibrox. What did you think of that pair together?
I think it brought a solidity, if that's the word, to the midfield. I think Miguel Chagua is a real great prospect, and he just, some of the things he did in these two games, I think he's a great prospect, and I would start him every game for sure. Whether you played him with Levitt beside him, because I'm still a fan of Levitt, I don't know. If you took Nicky Cadden out of the team and you're still playing your five in the middle, I suppose it would be Jordan Obita would be your left-hand side of that 5 in midfield. If Jack Ardale's going to be the back of a back three, if it is a back three still. I would have him left back of a back four, personally.
Yeah. And Beta on that side, Jeff, if you're taking a Beta and playing Ardale in behind him, we lose a little bit of the crossing ability because the Beta's crossing is not bad, but it's not Nicky Cadden standard.
It's not Nicky Cadden, but yeah. You remember when Obita had his good season? He created a lot from that hand side. So we're losing a little bit, but we're gaining more solidity defensively.
Yes, and bear in mind the next 2 away games at Falkirk and Tynecastle.
I said they're made for Obita to play left wing back those 2 games. I think.
I totally agree.
You need his height. Certainly against Hearts, they'll have a team, McInnes team of giants. Celtic, I think, Nicky Cat, he was suspect against St Mirren. They put a lot of long diagonal balls over his side when we played St Mirren, and he was, he struggled. Nearly gave a goal away there. I don't know, but he was fantastic last season, and we didn't have that same defensive frailty on that side. Why was that? Was that because Ardale was so good? I think the dovetailed so well.
Well, Kieran makes a good point on the chat. He said, bring up O'Hora. He said, O'Hora isn't finding the right of a back three. He can't get forward, which makes it easy to stop us. Now, there's a thing about attack being the best form of defence, and that old saying, and Miller definitely helped us get forward, and Iredale helped us get forward. But when you have like we've got an obvious option there on the left, I think it's really easy to say you put Obita in with Iredale behind him, you've sort of tightened up that left-hand side. How do you do the same on the right? Like, what's the combination that would work there?
The young boy, is it Megwa, isn't it?
Megwa.
Yeah, Megwa.
Yeah.
With who in front of him?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking of a back four here in my head. Because I think that's what we need the next couple of games. We need to stop losing goals.
Yeah, if we go back 3, and we play Hanley, it's probably going to be Rocky playing the right side of Rocky can get forward with the ball. He's not a Miller, and it can be a bit hear him, scare him. But it's who plays in front of him. Is it Cadden? Is it Mulligan? Now, people were disappointed with Mulligan on Saturday. He was up against probably their most dangerous player, that Gasman, whatever his name is. He flattered to deceive. He never created anything. He may have got kind of past Mulligan a few times, but the only problem with that is we lose Mulligan's drive in midfield, which we really, he got the ball on Saturday and he made one driving run and laid that ball off. Was that where Bowie took it around the keeper and Boyle missed? I think that was from him, just driving it. That was absolutely brilliant from right wing back or right back, whatever he was playing. So it's a real dilemma. It's the Lewis Miller dilemma. What do we do? Play Chrissy Cadden, hope he finds a bit of form. Put Mulligan in midfield with Chaiwa and Barlasser, really stiffen it up. And then you've got a choice of what do you do with McGrath, who was outstanding the first half on Tuesday. Absolutely best player on the park.
Definitely.
So it's a nice problem to have, but it's just that right hand side, because their new winger that's hit the ground running for Celtic, isn't he on the left hand side? Our right hand side, their left. So we need to. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, was it him that scored last night in the Europa League?
No, that was Etchi. That was the ex-Leicester.
Oh right, yeah.
Iheanacho, that's it. Yeah.
Very good goal. But he's not properly match fit yet.
We've got so on the defence side, John on the chat says Hanley in the centre and Rocky on the right. He has way more pace and can cover that side better than Hanley would. Sandy said if Rocky was Scottish, he'd take Hanley's position in the national team. Not saying Hanley's bad, I'm saying Rocky's an all-round centre back. Ronnie said our substitutions in the last 2 games have been unable to impact games a bit concerning, saying we have Celtic and Hearts coming up. Kieran said Barlasser, Chaiwa and McGrath were fine against Falkirk. The back line were dropping far too deep, leaving the midfield 3 up against 5 Falkirk players. The back 5 is not supposed to be a flat 5. So I mean, this is a problem that Gray has to sort out. And I suppose the conundrum with it all is when it works, we're creating plenty of chances. And I know people don't like to hear the phrase XG, but XG tells you whether or not we're creating chances. Like, it gives you an idea of how well we're doing going forward, and we're doing pretty well at that. The goals don't back it up because we're missing the good chances. So there are elements of the system that's working. So when it's going right, Jeff, why is it going right? What is it that works when it works well?
We tend to shift the ball quicker, I think, when we can still pass it around at the back, but when we start going forward, it's 1-2 touch, or we've got Mulligan driving, which is a real bonus. McGrath is a very clever player. He's not shown it in every game, but he's a thoroughbred. And so what makes us? I just think we get the ball either out wide or slip it in between the centre halves for the Boyle or Chaiwa, and it's simple stuff. We don't play a lot of pretty football. I don't think we play when we're at our best. We move the ball quicker than we do, or we have been doing. Certainly, second half on Tuesday, and the thing about the second half on Saturday was Rangers are 2-0 up in a cup tie. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
they just sat back and invited us on, and we didn't get enough of the ball. We couldn't just get a grip of the game. Nothing was sticking up front. Too many players with Joffa. I tell you, I've been kind of disappointed. Somebody mentioned the subs not impacting. Junior highlight's been just seriously off the boil.
Chalk and cheese compared to last season. I quite agree.
Yeah, he's come on and he's just given the ball away. He's although he nearly scored against Dundee United, a couple of chances, header and the one he slid in with his foot. But you expect him to come on and make a difference, a bit like when him and Dwight Gill came on last year. Last season, real difference. So when we're playing well, we just seem to move the ball quick. We move teams around and just get sort of behind them and decent crosses in. You look at the goals we've scored. Try to think, not so much the last two games, but we just pressurise teams. Get the ball in the box quickly. It's good.
And Joe,
the challenge we've got is the next two games coming up. No matter what we do with the team and players, and even if it gets the right blend, playing against the champions away and a very good Hearts team this season away, a real tough call. If we come away from that with 2 points or 3 points, we've done really well, I think.
It's mental to think the Hearts are going to have their first defeat at home at Hibs in the season. The conceded goals before halftime. So this is not a one-off now. I think the stats something like nine goals in all competitions scored just before halftime, 7 domestically. Joe, how does it keep happening? Why does it keep happening?
I don't know why it keeps happening, but bring in Hanley for a start. It needs the old heat, experience heat, just as we're getting to that deadline of halftime to settle it down. And also the other thing, Matty, is attack is the best form of defence. Hibs, one way to get around that is to go for it just before half time. As I say, I'd love to see Cleety playing up alongside Bowie from the start. And I think, yes, we'll continue to have defensive problems. Those aren't going to be eradicated overnight with 1 or 2 changes. But in the meantime, play 4 at the back, Cleety and Kieran Bowie up front, and that's about as good as we can do just now. I think it's probably going to be a regroup after the Hearts game, though. Draw breath, because the games following that aren't nearly as tough as the next 2 coming up.
So Hanley played at Ibrox, conceded 2 just before half-time, Joe.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Okay.
Jeff, what do you put it down to?
Well, just on Joe's point about Hanley, our defence played very well in the first half. We kept him at arm's length. Can you remember? I can't remember Salinger having to make a decent save, one or anything. You had Gassman on their left, he looked dangerous, but Tanner ball player. Tav was nullified on the right. They'll try to come to the middle. I thought our defence played really well, apart from those 2 mistakes, which weren't the defence, if you like. I mean, they take collective responsibility. Yeah. It was Chaiwa and McGrath, but one experienced player, one young lad, just the smallest player on the park got the run on him. So I'm happy with Hanley. Second half, they had a few more chances because we were a bit more stretched. We weren't as in our defensive shape. So what was the question, Matty? Sorry, I just came on to Hanley there. Test your
questioning playing Hanley.
No, I was questioning about the goals before half time.
The goals before half time.
Yeah, what do you put it down to? Why are we conceding so many?
I think once it becomes not so much a habit as it's talked about, they'll obviously be thinking about it just before half time. It's natural that they'll, oh, here we go, it's 5 minutes to go. We've lost goals. It's just be really tight and try and keep it tight, and they're probably almost like tighten up mentally. Like we don't do the stuff naturally because they don't want to lose a goal, and it just But I mean, the goal on Tuesday was the boy had miles of room in midfield. I don't know who was supposed to be marking him. Goes out to the guy. It's a token attempt to stop the cross. I mean, that's the first bit. Stop the cross coming in. Now, I've noticed that both our wing backs, when they're up one against the winger, it is 1 against 1. Nobody goes out to help them. So if they want to usher them inside, the body shape, they've got to cover both things. So they've got more chance of getting the cross in, whichever way they do it. If we can get another man out to stop the cross in, I don't know whether our defensive shape allows that. That would be either O'Hara or Obita come out and help. You stop the cross, you don't get the goal.
Yeah.
But I think it's just becoming a mental thing now. Like a bit, like the last minute goals, last season, a few seasons ago. I can't remember when it was.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, I suppose, is this like a bit of a glimmer of hope, Joe? The fact that we had these sort of issues this time last season, that there were, vast number of moments where we shot ourselves in the foot, contrived to lose points for winning positions as we're doing at the moment, not getting over the line, and then we seem to be in a real sort of, a real struggle just to get going, and then all of a sudden it clicked and we never looked back. Can we hang on to that, or is it unlikely lightning will strike twice?
Regarding losing the goals just before half time, etc., the Falkirk manager, who's a nice guy, alluded to that in his post-match interview about having a real go at Hibs just before half time with some success. I think we need to be really solid at the back, and again, going back to Hanley, not only as part of 4 at the back, but that great experience. Come on, guys, coming up to half time, you should be going forward, not back.
Is that leadership
on
thing?
The park. I think Hanley would be a good captain, personally.
Well, it would be. Yeah, the thing is, Hanley probably didn't play on Tuesday because he played the whole game Saturday. Then you got Tuesday on artificial turf, not a bad one, but still artificial. And we've got a big game against Celtic where he's probably really going to be needed. So if you give him a rest, not because he's only just come back in. He's not had a proper pre-season. So I can see why he probably was left out on Tuesday. We knew, whether it was down to him not playing or not, I don't know. But
So how do you line up for Saturday then? We've got these 2 big games coming up, Celtic and Hearts. Take the game in front of us first. Celtic, Joe, you called it the toughest game that we can have, which I think statistically it is. Celtic away.
2010 that last time we won at Farce.
Yeah. So how did we do it on Saturday?
The honest answer is with great difficulty. But the first thing you've got to do is try and stop them scoring goals or easy goals. That's why I've been banging on about 4 at the back, especially with the personnel we've got to be able to accommodate that with the 2 centre-halves, so Rocky and Hanley. But attack's the best method of defence. We really need to get it going up front. Hopefully, maybe if we play Quidgy upside Bowie, it might give Bowie, take a bit of pressure off him, and you might see him start to get into form again because he's been off form. But he's the only guy we've got up there of any height, so we're kind of snookers. I've got to play Bowie, whatever happens.
Jeff, one of the really disappointing things against Rangers was how meek the performance was in terms of getting in and about them. The talk going into the game was that they were there for the taking and the players needed to be right at it and, getting about Rangers, and we didn't do it. How does Gray get them to do that against Celtic? Or is it a different type of game and that would be the wrong tactic?
Well, go back to the Rangers game. We're only a handball VAR decision and 2 really daft missed chances from being a masterclass. just sitting off them and letting them shoot themselves in the foot, and we'll just pick them off. So
that's true.
that's the other way of looking at it. I mean, I would like to have seen more tackles going in and properly, but with VAR, you can't just go through players anymore. Like the old days, let's take, get the early booking, but you'll get sent off nowadays. But you should have. What I found on Saturday was we struggled to get close to them because they seemed to have an extra man in midfield, and you had Ratskin playing. It was he's their best player,
definitely.
And he showed that on Saturday. Chaiwa struggled against him to get near him, but only because there's another player nearby, and he was kind of caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. So against Celtic, we've played better Celtic teams than this with worse Hibs teams, and nearly away a result. So it's and they've been in Europe again, which is always potentially a good time to play them. Not always. We've been caught with our pants down before.
Yeah.
So I just think don't do anything daft. It's just do the simple things well, and we'll be okay.
What do you think about getting a settled team? So if you think back to Lee Johnson times, Lee Johnson would lose a game, it would be radical changes for the next game, he'd lose that one, it'd be radical changes until we won, and then he would stick with that until we got beat again, and then he'd rip it up and start again. Gray kind of settled things down last season. Not that he never played the same team week in, week out. It'd be like a one change or two changes game to game. Just now we seem to be a bit more of the sort of roll the dice and see what's landing. Is there an argument, Joe, to say, look, it might not be great for 2 or 3 games, and again, probably these 2 games are the ones you want it to be not great for. But is there an argument to say, look, we're almost there, and maybe what we need to do is just settle everybody down and say this is the team for a couple of weeks?
I mean, I think 8 or 9 of the team, whether you play the formation I suggest or the 3 at the back, 8 or 9 of that team pick themselves. They really do. What we haven't discussed in this podcast is who should be the goalie.
So who should be the goalie?
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
You toss a coin. I thought Salinger did well on Tuesday. I don't think he could do much with the goals. I don't think he could do anything with the goals against Rangers. He had a couple of saves early on against Falkirk. They had a couple of decent chances. But again, he's not really been tested that much. He's not had any really big saves to make. One against
Rangers.
He's
lost 4 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
Which is not been his fault, of course.
But it's not a great measure, was it?
To see who Gray gives the gloves to on Saturday.
What do you think, Jeff? Because it was it was interesting that he stuck with Salinger for the Falkirk game.
Yeah, I think that was a sign that Salinger will probably be playing at Celtic Park as well.
Yeah.
I think he's done nothing that merits him being dropped. Whereas Smith has had some shaky moments this season, which maybe under another manager he would have been dropped sooner. I'm happy that Gray's loyal to his players, but just don't be too long. It was too long with Bursick last season.
Yeah,
that could have cost him his job. The Dundee game, a few other games. I think he's probably learned from that, and I think however he manages it, I think Salinger will probably. It might be Smith. If it's Smith, I have no problems with that. I just think Salinger is more of a number 1 than Smith on a very small sample size, as our friend Liam says. But you don't pay that money for a keeper in our standard to sit on the bench.
Yeah,
exactly.
They must have seen something in him. The magical scouting team. He's done nothing wrong. So I'd start with Salinger. But
going back to the shaky defence, it comes from the goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper's steady Eddie all the time, and they've got that right behind them, the defence will play better. Psychologically, it's a huge impact on them.
Yeah, I just thought Smith was causing a few jitters in the defence, just with his do I not come for those through balls, or shouting at them to either clear it or hit his ball. It's become apparent against Dundee United, against one of the other games. I can't remember which one it was. Might have been St Mirren. Anyway, so yeah, I'd stick with Salinger.
And the extra height that Salinger's got, excuse me.
That extra 4 inches makes all the difference.
Well, it makes quite a difference.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah, I've said nothing.
I can see the thought bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. The next question I've got, right, it sort of comes down to like your assessment of the team and how comfortable you feel with how things are going at the moment, or not. And we've got the context of last season where we had this stinking run to start off, and then all of a sudden things worked out and we turned it around. So I think what that does is it buys Gray time in that nobody's going to be having conversations about, or they shouldn't be having any conversations about his job being at risk or anything, like anything ludicrous like that. That's not what I'm saying, but we're seeing match to match the yin and the yang at Hibs, aren't we? We're seeing like the good set the first half and the shite second half. There's no really kind of better word for it. They're just awful. Which one's most likely to be the real Hibs for the rest of the season? Are we a good team or are we a really bad team?
Well, we're certainly not a really bad team, and I think the team that we come out of the next few games with will be a good team. We have got better players by and large than we had last season at the start of the season, especially. Don't forget, we never had Kieran Bowie for all of that bad run right up until after Christmas. That's for a start. If you look at the squad we've got and the players we've got, I'd say we've got a better squad. For the earlier part of that bad run, we didn't have Jack Ardale playing either. It must have been just towards Christmas time that he came in.
It was, yeah, he came in later on.
Yeah, so get Ardale back to his form, his left back, a back four. Play Cleegee up beside Kieran Bowie, Salinger in goal, and just stick with him. The big trouble is Hibs don't have that midfield general. You've got workhorses in Chagwa and the other new boy that's come in. But I was hoping that Dylan Levitt would be the midfield general, but when Dylan Levitt plays, he plays really, really deep.
Mm.
That's what Hibs are lacking.
Jeff,
what do you think? Which one's the real Hibs?
Well, the real Hibs, please stand up. Please stand up. You look at the display, second half display in Legia, which was as good as in Europe.
Outstanding, yeah.
Absolutely outstanding.
I've been following Hibs for 50 odd years, and I've never seen as good a performance as that second half.
Yeah.
And all the days I've been watching them, that was terrific. That second half.
Yeah. And that was against a decent team. We've proved we can be really good away in Serbia. First half against Kilmarnock. Probably some other games. Against Midtjylland, we're a step above the other two teams, and we competed with them.
Yeah, we did.
So I've no worries about the team. What I worry about is that the habit of losing goals before half time isn't eliminated. By hook or by crook, to stop that. That would be number one. So I think we're a good team. We're a good team. Just need to find a bit of consistency in selection. Once we hit on that sweet spot with maybe just making one change every game, if someone's suspended or injured or needs a rest. We're a good team. Are we as good as we thought we were when we were conquering Europe early in the season? Or not conquering Europe? I don't know. But I'm happy that we will find a way out of this slight malaise that we've got at the moment. And there's a lot of negativity amongst some of the support. I totally understand that. I think we still bear the scars of last season. And what's emphasising it is we're looking through the prism of our neighbours across the city have already won the league. So we're going to League ex-league champions on Saturday and the new league champions the Saturday after. There you go. But I'm content. I just wish we could put two halves of football together.
Joe?
I think if we have this podcast 2 weeks tonight and we've already played Celtic and Hearts away, and we have a similar conversation, I think I would repeat then, irrespective of how these two games go that I'm feeding now, I think we've got 8 or 9 of the team already picks itself largely, and we just need to stick with those 8 or 9 by and large. That's my view. I think we've got a really, really good team. There's been a few hiccups and bumps along the way as we tried to blend in some really good players. McGrath and Mulligan are very good players, but they need time to build in. I think you've got to stick with it for a while, and it will come good with largely most of the players we've got already.
I'll tell you one of the things that gives me confidence. I say that a lot. When you get a team, and there are the exceptions to the rules, like historic Man United teams. It was constantly scored late on. Celtic do it a lot.
Yeah.
But generally, teams that rely on late goals, they tend not to be able to do that consistently because it stops. So maybe get a wee run at them. It's happened to us before where we've gone, look at us going right to the end, and then it stops happening. And it turns out it was just like a bit of luck. I think by that same token, we're not going to carry on losing goals at the end of the half. So I think if we can get into half time 2-0 up in games, I think we'll see a very different outlook on things. So I think the team's capable of holding on to 2-goal leads. I think if we can take our chances and not do something stupid at the end of the half, we'll probably be all right.
And if we could also score late on, Laurie Riley was nicknamed Last Minute Riley.
Yes.
And I'll give you an interesting statistic. Dennis Law and Kenny Dalglish hold the record number of goals for Scotland, 30 goals each. But Kenny Dalglish had over 100 caps for Scotland, and Dennis Law played 55 times for Scotland. Last Minute Riley scored 22 goals in 38 games.
There you go.
So a bit
That's
of
a great
information
stat
for Hibs, though.
Right, before I get a score prediction for you, we'll start to wrap up. But Jay and Sandy said, I have to ask everybody, are you like I am and actually looking forward to the next 2 away games? It doesn't get better than those 2 fixtures.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, Celtic away and Hearts away are 2 massive games in the football calendar for Hibs. And if you kind of get looking forward to these games, what are you doing? So,
Exactly.
Joey, are you excited for these 2 games?
Of course I am. You want our predictions?
Yeah, give us a prediction.
I think we'll play much better against Celtic, but we'll lose 2-1.
Okay.
And I think we'll draw 3-3 with Hearts at Tynecastle.
3 each. See, the 3 each would be brilliant if we're 3-1 down and come back, like against Dundee United. If you're 3-1 down and come back to 3-3, that's great. If we're 3-1 up and it ends up 3-3, then it's fucking a disaster, isn't it? Like it's such a funny thing.
It'll be 3-3 if they play 3 at the back. If they play 4 at the back, it'll be 1-1.
I think how much I'd prefer. Jeff, what were you? So looking forward to the games. What's the score going to be on Saturday?
Yeah, the Celtic game's a funny one. That used to be one of the highlights of the calendar back in the 70s when it was a more equal playing field. There wasn't such a disparity. We're going to have about, 25, 30% of the ball, be chasing it most of the time. I've got a restricted view seat. Am I excited? Of course I am. Because this is where we break the hoodoo. I'm more excited about the Hearts game. I always, it's a derby. It's just, to me, it's it's a better occasion. There's only 800 of us at Celtic Park, something like that.
Yeah,
it's a joke, and the view is just pretty poor. So yeah, I'm always excited when Hibs play. I expect us. This is the day we take all our early chances and we absolutely scoosh some team. Probably won't happen on Saturday. Might get a few early chances like Miko last season. Stick them away. You never know. Their fans aren't happy either. This is
true.
Another fan base that are just waiting to have an excuse to have another go at the board and Brenda in the dugout. So yeah, I'm going to go for 1-1 on Saturday.
Okay, I'll take a 1-1. Okay, let's we'll wrap up there. We've got tomorrow morning. So if you're on our Patreon, if you're a Patreon member, either a free or a paid member, each Friday morning you'll get in your mailbox our banger fanzine / newsletter with some great fan writing. So that's due to come out sort of early tomorrow morning. Jeff, you've got a nice wee piece featured in that as well. We will be back with our preview show. So Colin, John and I will be back tomorrow afternoon live on YouTube round about 4 o'clock probably. So watch out for that. We'll preview the Celtic game. And of course on Sunday, as normal, we'll be back with our usual episodes, Colin, John and I, to discuss what happens at Parkhead, and hopefully we've got a good Hibs one to talk about. Joe, Jeff, thank you very much for keeping the conversation going tonight. You've both been stellar and or dynamic, and thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.